I've been very interested in business my entire life, and while scamming people might not be the most ethical of businesses, it is still a business nonetheless. And if you've been on YouTube at all and left a comment in the past year and a half, you've probably noticed that there are a lot of scams going on in the comment section. And getting rid of all these spam comments is the most frustrating game of whack-a-mole that I've ever played. Comments lately have been using the same profile picture as larger channels and try to siphon people away to WhatsApp or Telegram, telling them they've won some giant prize, only to get them to pay shipping for that prize and never send anything. It's been a sickness spreading throughout YouTube, especially tech YouTube, for quite a while now. I've even had Marquez down there trying to hand out free stuff. And just to be 1000% clear, I will never ask anyone for money, and I have never used WhatsApp or Telegram. I only communicate through verified channels just like any other YouTuber. It's been almost 2 years now of me trying to get rid of all these spam comments, but as soon as I block one, more come back and change the name ever so slightly, even misspelling Telegram or becoming Mr. RigEverything, John RigEverything. With millions of different variations, it is impossible to fix this problem without help on the YouTube side of things. And even though MKBHD made a video about this 10 months ago, the problem is still here. I'm getting emails from people every day asking me if I've got their PayPal payment and if I've shipped their free phone yet, when it's just the scammers doing their scamming. So me being the business curious person that I am, I decided to message the scammers myself and see what their business is all about. I created a Telegram account for the very first time so I could message the scammers, and they responded, and it actually was fairly interesting. So I reached out to them and said, "What did I win?" And after a few hours they responded, "Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to my giveaway page." And I said, "That's amazing, what did I win?" And they asked for a screenshot of the comment. I sent them a completely different screenshot since they didn't actually respond to me specifically. And they said, "Congratulations, you won. You're among our shortlisted winners. Thank you for watching and showing love, and thank you for being an active subscriber to my YouTube channel." And we went on. I said, "For sure it's an honor to speak with you. How long have you been a subscriber?" "For 2 years." "That's cool. I hope you've learned a lot from my channel." As he's pretending to be me, of course I said, "I have learned a lot since I am me. I really appreciate you, all of my subscribers, for the love you guys have shown to me, and for that I have decided to randomly select some of my subscribers from my comment section, which, lucky for you, you're one of them, which makes you the winner of an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Wow, thank you so much." Then he asked for my delivery information, which I assume he was going to ask me to pay for shipping after I gave that to him. So I said, "Can I ask you a few questions?" "Okay, mate. I will give you $200 to tell me where you are from and how many people you work with. I'm curious about your business here on Telegram." And he said, "Really? Okay, $100 up front, and afterwards you send me the remaining 100. This is a business," and he was negotiating. And he said, "I can stop if you really want me to." So I said 20 before, 180 after. And we negotiated back and forth. I said 50 to 150 or no deal. And then we went after payment methods, PayPal, Venmo. And finally he asked if he was really talking to the real Zach Nelson. So I sent him a picture with a piece of paper written Telegram scam on it with the date, so he knew for sure he was talking to me. And after talking a little bit more about payments, we get to the juicy stuff. He said he was scared to accept this offer. And I said, "How come?" And he said, "Hold on for a while, because I make more than $200. And I said, "How much do you make?" And he says, "I make like $1,000 a day, man." And I said, "Dang, bro, nice work. That's a lot of money. Across all YouTube channels?" And he said, "Yours only, man. You got a lot of subscribers who are ready for the giveaways." I think he's calling you guys stupid. So I said, "Do you do other YouTube channels as well?" And he said, "No matter what you post to your YouTube channel, I still have someone who's willing to pay me. Got some pending right now who are ready for payment because we are talking to you. They are on hold. I can tell the English is slightly off, which makes me start to think that he's not from the United States." And I said, "Business is business." He said, "If you really want me to stop, we can talk a real deal, not $50. I think he's trying to get me to pay him a lump sum to stop the whole business, which... And I said, "I'm just curious about your business. I appreciate the hustle. I'm not going to pay you to stop, though. That's YouTube's job." And he said, "Really? Okay, man." I said, "Are you from the USA?" And then he said, "I'll gladly continue to spoil your reputation," which isn't very nice. And I said, I tell people all the time it's not me, not much else I can do, which is true. I say on basically any video I do a giveaway, I mention the spam comments as well as on my YouTube community page and on Twitter. I talk about it a lot. And he says, when I scam them, I won't let them know I'm a random scammer. Even if you do a video saying you are not the one, no one is believing you, man. So I say, are you from the USA? And I say, I guess you're not ready for business. I'll go to attend to subscribers. I always tell them I'm the real Zach, and I just scam them. LOL, so cool, right? And easy. At this point, I didn't think I was going to get anywhere with him, so I just gave him a thumbs up emoji. And he says, I don't let them know I'm a scammer. They all will be thinking they was scammed by you. What are you so curious to know about? After I didn't respond for a second. And I said, how much money you make and how easy it is. Which you answered, I'm just curious, no hard feelings, we're not enemies. He said, okay, how about our deal, 50 to start. And thought this is where we're going to get somewhere. So we figured out that he does have a PayPal, so I sent him $50 for PayPal, family and friends, since I'm friends with the scammer now. And we verified the payment, and then he said, all right, confirm. So let's get started. I'm listening. So I said, are you from the USA? And he said, no, sir. I said, where are you from? And he said, Ghana, precisely. That's good money in Ghana. Yeah, man, taking care of my siblings in school, which is very kind of him. How long you been doing it? And he said, a month or more ago. Really? I thought they'd been here for years. Other people? And he said, just my first trial, and I've made almost a millions. Millions of dollars or Ghana money. And he said, in Ghana money. I said, I'm impressed. How much do people send you for shipping? And he said, hold on while I send you a list. And he did send me a screenshot, and I think the list it deleted by itself afterwards. So it was like 100, 150. I think there was even a few $200 items that people had sent him. Which is kind of sad, because usually people who are falling for this kind of scam don't have that money to be giving away in the first place. And I said, mostly through Cash App? And he said, I got all payment method. For your India subscribers, I even got a link for card, LOL, man. Never left any money for a subscriber, which I assume he never left out any money. Which makes me think that this is a rather sophisticated business he has going on. So I said, you don't do any other channels, MKBHD or Unbox Therapy? And he said, LOL, still considering that, but I'm not done with yours yet. Your subscribers are the best. Ready to pay because of the trust, man. I said, I see other Telegram comments on other channels. Are they other people? And he said, definitely. Those are my brothers. We four into this. And I said, oh, that makes sense. All family or just friends? And he said, family. We have nothing to survive on. I said, I understand. It's hard out there. He said, yes, man, really hard, no parents. And I said, can I ask your first name? And he did tell me his first name, but I'm not going to post it here. Just because he's doing something unethical doesn't mean we need to be unethical back. So I said, remember to not take too much money. The people you take from are real people with hard times as well. And I said, I was kind of finishing up with the conversation now, and I said, can I pay the rest of the money, the $150, finishing my end of the deal, learning about his business transactions. And he said, it's my pleasure, though I watched your channel before I started. I said, how old are you? And he said, 21. Why not we make a deal? I really know you want me to stop, you just can't say it. And I said, it's your honor, not mine, but I have no hard feelings for you, which is true. He said, why are you saying on YouTube and Twitter that they should not be paying, man? And I said, I have to protect my viewers, but that doesn't mean I hate anyone. I understand I know what I'm doing is wrong, but things are difficult here, sir. You are an honest man, and I just admire you while watching your channel. But man, I just had to say I'm sorry, though. And I said, no hard feelings, good luck with everything, just try to stop someday. And he said, can you help me now, my poor siblings? I promise to stop right away. And at this point, he tries to get me to pay him more to kind of stop the whole operation together, but you never know with those kind of things. You can't really negotiate with scammers. I could pay him a massive lump sum to stop, and then he could just continue doing it the next day. Finally, he said, okay, it's been confirmed, after he got my last $150 payment. And he said, I give you my word not to proceed with such acts on your website anymore, that is certain. But I assure you my partners will also need to be settled with before leaving your website. As soon as you settle with them, no one else will bother your YouTube channel henceforth. I'll send you their Telegram profile right now, sir. Which he did, and they were both variations of my own name that I would have to settle up with to get them to stop. And I can't really blame him. He's probably a very poor person in a very crappy situation, but poor people robbing other poor people doesn't make him some kind of Robin Hood. It's still pretty messed up. And honestly, I don't really have a solution for this problem either. YouTube already has account verification, but obviously that's not working. I wonder if making the comments more verified, like highlighted or with a bigger check mark, if that might help, or making it so that new comments have a waiting period before they comment, or even disabling strange fonts and usernames. All of those are viable options. Or if you ban one account from a certain IP address, that IP address stays blocked across the entire channel. I don't know. The truth is that people suck sometimes, and that's not going to change. And honestly, we don't know if everything he said was 100% true. I do believe the majority of what he said, except that I really doubt he was making $1,000 a day. Scamming people is business, and he probably is making good money to keep it going for 2 years, but $1,000 a day seems like a lot. This method of scamming people has been around for quite a while, and it's probably not going anywhere in the future. So the reason I'm making this video is to draw attention to it and to let people know I will never, ever, ever ask for money, and I will never, ever use WhatsApp or Telegram. I am, however, not going to stop giving away phones, since we can't let a few bad actors ruin a good thing. You just have to be vigilant and make sure not to message any of those spam accounts. And if you ever do see any of these spam comments out there in the wild, just remember it's probably a very sad, lonely 21-year-old from Ghana who hasn't quite found his way in life. But I hope eventually he does. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.